I think I'm now audible to everyone. Yeah. Today it's a doubt clearing session, as well as I'll be touching a bit upon auditing. In the earlier classes, we had done the entire portion regarding accounts. We try to do justice as much as possible, and now today we'll be moving towards auditing. People are saying there's a disturbance. Background music, I'm not getting any music, and there's absolute silence over here.
Now it is clear voice, Anurag. Is the voice clear now? Yeah, thank you. I think you all are able to view the screen. Auditing was a subject now today for today's discussion topic, and screen is visible. For auditing, I'll tell you, the study material provided by the institute is at most sufficient. You just need to read the entire portion. Questions would be very easy from the study material itself, everything from within the study material itself. And as far as any of the papers is concerned, I'll again repeat, you should follow the study material, especially for this auditing part as well. The content of the study material is too good. Just a few questions before I take up your doubts in the query. Few MCQs. For question 1, the term audit originated from a dash word or dia, which means to hear. That is a Latin word. That is the Latin word. And accounting begins where auditing ends. The state is definitely true. Auditing begins, sorry, accounting begins where auditing ends. Yes, the statement is false. The statement is false. I'm sorry. Accounting begins where auditing ends. The statement is false, but vice versa was true. Auditor is a independent person. That's coming those right. Auditor is an independent person. Principal aspects to be covered in an audit involves principal aspects to be covered in an audit involves review of system and procedures, review of internal control system, ensuring statutory compliance, all of these. So let us check the answers coming in. All of the above, that's the right answer. That's good. People are well prepared with auditing as well. Great to see. Stronger the internal control, that will be the checking by the auditor. Obviously lesser. If the internal control is strong, the checking required by the auditor will be less. More So auditor is a watchdog. He's not a bloodhound, but he is a watchdog. The primary objective of auditing is expression of opinion, detection of fraud, checking efficiency of internal control. Hello, hello, hello. Guess what's the answer for question number 7? For question number 7, yes, it's D, all of the above. Number 8, auditing ensures that financial statements are true and fair. It's not true and correct, not free from errors, but auditing ensures a true and fair view of the state of affairs. So answer is true and fair. 8 is A. Question number 9. Time, extent, and nature of audit depends upon time, extent, and nature of audit depends upon effectiveness of interest. Very effective. In that case, the time extent would be less. And if the internal control is not that effective, the time required, the extent of auditing will be more. Next, internal control exercised by, question 10. Internal control is exercised by, what's the answer? Obviously, very good answer. K, A. It's A, by management. Internal control is exercised by the management. 11. Dash is the responsibility of management. Accounting is the responsibility of management. 12. Dash is referred as a special purpose examination. In your study, you will find the difference between auditing and investigation. The topic of investigation, right? So dash is referred as special purpose examination. Read that portion. Investigation is a special purpose examination. Investigation is done with the objective, with the primary assumption that there is something wrong, and to find out that we require investigation. So it's a special purpose examination. So this B for Bombay, investigation. Primary responsibility for the adequacy of financial statements. Primary responsibility for the adequacy of financial statements rests with the management. It's not of auditor and obviously not of central government. Weakness in internal control system dash the risk of fraud and error. If the internal control system is weak, internal control we know very well that within the organization the work should be organized in such a way, right? And all we all know very well that assets are protected and all those things. So increases the risk of fraud and error. If the internal control system is weak, the risk of fraud and error increases. Who appoints the internal auditors? Internal auditors appointed by the management. Next, scope of people are giving answers. That's good. Scope of internal audit is defined by, obviously, by the management. Scope of internal audit is decided by the management. Secretarial audit. Secretarial audit, you all know very well, is mandatory in case of certain organizations. That is also called compliance audit. And secretarial audit is conducted by a practicing company secretary. That is one of a good recognition which in the recent years the government has bestowed upon the professionals as company secretaries, and that has opened up a good opportunity for you people as well, for the upcoming company secretaries as well. Secretarial audit is compliance audit is basically to ensure that the company has followed the plethora of laws prevailing in the country, especially with respect to the corporate sector, and also complied with the rules and regulations framed by the different bodies like RBI, SEBI, the stock exchanges, to ensure that the management, that the directors are not put into undue hardship. Secretarial auditor conducts secretarial audit. That secretarial auditor is a practicing company secretary. It is also known as compliance audit. Question number 18. Secretarial audit is conducted by a practicing company secretary. Answer is B. PCS, practicing company secretary. Audit of an insurance company is required under which act? It is required under Insurance Regulatory Development Act, IRDA. IRDA Act and requires that the accounts of insurance companies should be audited. So answer is C. Government audit, you must have known in the law as well, the subject of law, that government audit is conducted by Comptroller and Auditor General of India, known as CAG. Comptroller and Auditor General of India conducts the government audit. Management audit. Management audit, you know, you have in your book, you'll find different types of audit: management audit, operational audit, efficiency audit, performance audit. All these are optional. If a company wants, it can get its management audit done. It may get its performance audit, efficiency audit, all this done. So these are basically voluntary. They're optional. They're not mandatory. Like statutory audit, secretarial audit, cost audit, tax audit, you'll find in the study material, all these types of audit are given. These all are compulsory. Which one? Statutory audit, secretarial audit, cost audit, tax audit. They are mandatory under different laws. But management audit, operational audit, performance audit, efficiency audit, all by different names. These are all optional, voluntary. If the management wants, they can get it done. Big corporates, they get it done. So management audit is voluntary. Performance audit is the other name of performance audit is the name of efficiency audit. You can go through your book. Which type of audit is conducted by the internal audit staff? Internal audit staff conducts which type of audit? That is internal audit. Stock statement is the, in your book you'll find evidences, different types of evidence. In audit, we need to collect, as auditor, we need to collect different types of evidences. So stock statement is an internal evidence. Stock statement is an internal evidence. Why internal? Because the stock statement is prepared by the management itself. It is an internal evidence. Like external evidence, you'll find invoices received from from the suppliers, and all those are external evidences. Audit working papers. Again, you go through your book, you'll find audit working papers. Whenever an auditor conducts an audit, he prepares certain working papers. He takes down certain notes. When you go for auditing of the different companies, we have to make down certain notes. The auditor staff makes certain notes. He chalks down certain points. He may make copies of certain documents. These are all audit working papers. Audit working papers are the property of the auditor. You'll find this is a small paragraph, a small topic in audit working papers. In the study material, audit working papers are the property of the auditor. I request you all, those who have done all this the subject very good, those who not read it today itself, it will be highly useful for you all. So audit working papers are the property of the auditor. Working papers are divided into their two types, there's permanent audit file and the temporary audit file. So it's both A and B. Permanent audit file, you'll find two types. In permanent audit file, normally we have the memorandum of association, articles of association, etc., of the company. The temporary audit file, we have the current year's documents. So the file which is used only for the current period audit. The file is used only for the current period audit. We make the current audit file. Audit deals with verification and examination of records. Audit deals with verification and examination of records. So it's both the dash ends. Now what, bookkeeping or accounting? Let me see the answers to coming in for 29. 29. Yes. Audit can be started only when accounting ends as the right answer. Given by a few of the participants, audit helps in the protection of the rights of whom? Obviously shareholders. You know, normally only the word audit refers to statutory audit. Statutory auditor is appointed by the shareholders. Why? In the case of a company, why audit hasn't made compulsory? Because in company there's a divorce of management and ownership. Ownership is lying in the hands of some other people, whereas management is in the hands of other people. So in order to protect the rights of owners, who are nothing but shareholders, who are distant apart, in order to protect their rights, auditor is appointed. So audit helps in protection of the rights of shareholders. Who conducts an audit? If only this is asked, who conducts an audit? That means there's nothing but a statutory audit that is conducted by a chartered accountant. Right? Now auditor, both options are given. You will write chartered accountant. Though we know cost accountant also conducts audit, but that is cost audit. Company secretary conducts an audit, but that is secretarial audit. Right? So who appoints an auditor? It's owners, shareholders, both A and B. Right? And in certain types of organizations, we don't have shareholders, but we have only members, so the owners. So who appoints an auditor? Owners and shareholders. So both A and B. Audit is general, whereas investigation is specific. Audit is general, but investigation is specific. It is conducted with a particular objective in view. Investigation may be with respect to stock only. Investigation may be with respect to the bank transactions, only the FD, fixed deposits. Investigation may be with respect to sales only. There can be a misappropriation of cash. So investigation is specific. It's only with respect to one area. Clear? Voluntary audit includes obviously banking company, cooperative society, public and charitable trust. All these are compulsory. But Hindu Undead Family, HUF which we call it, Hindu Undead Families audit is voluntary. Or a sole practice audit is voluntary, we call it. 35. Dash audit helps to detect non-compliance and to take corrective measures. We discussed this recently, that is secretarial audit. Right, secretarial audit helps to detect non-compliance and take corrective measures. Just to see, check whether the company has followed, has complied with all the provisions of the rules, regulations, and different acts. Dash has assigned the role of secretarial auditor to discuss a better about PCS, practicing company secretary. 37. A system of audit introduced by the Government of India for the review, examination, and appraisal of the cost accounting records and attendant information required to maintain by specified industries is known as. Obviously, it's called cost audit. Cost audit has been made mandatory for different types of companies with the government. So that audit is cost audit. 38. Dash audit is useful for the purpose of cost control, cost reduction, and proper utilization of scarce resources. I understand that it is cost audit. Efficiency audit. This question is repetitive. 39. I'll skip it. Coming to 40. Audit evidence is more reliable when the auditor obtains dash evidence from different sources. Audit evidence is more reliable when the auditor obtains dash evidence from different sources, documentary evidence from different sources. Original documents are better than. While conducting audit, we need copies of certain documents. So while auditing, suppose in a company you get to see balance sheet that the fixed deposits worth 5 crores or 15 crores, and you need to check the physical copies, the original copies of the fixed deposit certificates. Because if the staff of your client uses the Xerox, the photocopies, the facsimile copies, the evidence not be correct. It might happen that the original deposits have been misplaced. There can be misappropriation. There can be several other issues. So photocopies are not good. It's better that the auditor's staff should ask the client's staff for original copies, especially in these type of cases, in case of documents of property, fixed deposit receipts, and like that. So original documents are better than photocopies. 42. Which factors should be considered while obtaining audit evidence? Level of materiality, risk involved in making as an indirect observation, quality of evidence, all of the above. Answer is all of the above. While obtaining an audit evidence, you find in your book again, there is regarding audit evidence, you should read that portion. It's very simple. अगर आप 2 या 3 घंटे भी टाइम दो ना ऑडिट वाला पोर्शन पूरा अच्छे से आप रीड कर सकते हो while reading, go on marking the important lines and that will be sufficient. For that 13 marks portion, you can do it easily. 43. Dash are the documents prepared, obtained by the auditors and retained by him in connection with the audit. Obviously, audit working papers are the documents prepared or obtained by the auditors and retained by him in connection with the audit. There's audit working papers. Techniques of obtaining audit evidence include its computation, independent, serve as a connecting link between the client's records and the audit report. Working papers serve as a connecting link between the client's records and the audit report. Working papers provide permanent auditing record. Auditing working papers should be retained by the client, by the auditor. Auditor को उनको अपने पास में रखना चाहिए. So they provide permanent auditing record. Working papers are the property of, we already discussed as repeated question, auditor. Permanent file includes lease documents, lease or long-term, loan agreements, articles of association, memorandum of association. These documents include the permanent audit file. In your study material of provided by ICSI, you will find there is a list of documents which are included in the permanent audit file. In the temporary audit file, they included. It's given. When the auditor works for the organization, he is usually referred to as, if an auditor is working for the organization, he is referred as an internal auditor. Clear? First auditor are appointed by who? Appoints the first auditor? The board of directors. I hope you remember, within 1 month of the incorporation of the company. So the next question, 51. First auditor is appointed within 1 month of the date of the incorporation of the company. Casual vacancy includes resignation, death, disqualification, all of the above. In all these 3 cases, the position of the auditor the post of the auditor gets vacated in between his tenure, and that is called casual vacancy. The Department of Company Affairs has clarified the statutory auditor cannot act also as statutory auditor cannot act as an internal auditor. Internal auditor has to be different, and the statutory auditor has to be different. Next, one second. Hmm. The auditor can enjoy the right to. The auditor can enjoy the right to. Obviously, all the three obtain information and explanation, receive notice of and attend the general meeting, receive remuneration, all the three. The auditor has rights to enjoy all these three. 55. The audit report is the end product, the final product of every audit. Obviously, सब कुछ audit work पूरा complete करने के बाद में whatever comes in, that is an audit report. There is an end product of every audit. 56. The auditor's opinion. We find different types of opinion: adverse opinion, qualified, unqualified, report to the disclaimer. We should go to that portion as well. Different types of opinion, different types of audit reports. The auditor's opinion is the following types. It's all the above. 56 cancer is D. All of the above. 57. When the auditor does not have any reservation, objection regarding the information under audit, then he issues an. When the auditor does not have any reservation or objection regarding the information under audit, he issues an unqualified opinion. Unqualified opinion is given when the auditor is giving basically a clean report. It does not have any kind of reservation or objection regarding whatever he has stated in the audit report. We call it a clean audit report, or basically unqualified opinion. The opinion does not have any kind of ifs and buts, no kind of reservations. That is an unqualified opinion. 57 is A. The auditor's report is to be laid before the company in the annual general meeting. I hope in the portion of law you must have read. In the case of a company, general meetings are two types: AGM, annual general meeting, the other one is extraordinary general meeting, EGM. In AGM, there are four ordinary businesses. Apart from those four businesses, every other business is a special business. Those four are: one is adoption of annual accounts, one is declaration of dividend, next is retirement and reappointment of directors, and the other one is appointment and reappointment of retirement and reappointment of auditors. So in the annual general meeting, the first point where we should discuss the adoption of annual accounts, along with that the auditor's report. Auditor's report is also to be adopted in the annual general meeting, so it's AGM. In a situation where the auditor is not in a position to collect sufficient appropriate of audit evidence to draw conclusion, then the auditor gives. In a situation where the auditor is not in a position to collect sufficient appropriate audit evidence to draw conclusion, then the auditor gives. Adverse, negative, disclaimer, unqualified. It's a disclaimer opinion. Because has not been able to collect the sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Auditor's opinion helps determining the true and fair view of the financial position of the company. Efficiency in the management is obviously there. So that's about 60. I've given a limitations today because there was a short time and I was supposed to take your queries as well. But if you want to discuss audit, we can discuss it the theoretical aspect. Before I take up queries, I wish you all the very best for the foundation exams. May you all score the best of marks, and those aspiring for rank do also get your ranks as well, all India rank, and that's very easy to score. Remember, if you have certain queries, I can take up, and someone asking about disclaimer opinion. I'll just come up. Shubhani, regarding YouTube, I cannot say the institute will be in a better position. And in fact, the videos you upload हो रहा है, मुझे आप लोगों से पता चला था. When I didn't have the knowledge that these videos are being uploaded on YouTube, when you will ask, then I got to know these are available on YouTube. Just wait for a moment, and if you have any queries, you can write in the chat box. I'll just take up one small thing. Yes, Shubhani, in accounting, you need to study practicals as well. It's not only theory, but practicals will also be coming. Yes, last class. Yes, different types of auditing. Yes, I'll explain the different some theoretical portions. So someone is asking, which book is the best for exam? Remember that the study materials provided institute are the Gita, Quran, Bible. Remember my words. The study materials provided by ICSI are your Gita, Quran, and Bible. Yeah, one you can see that for practical portions, you can have any book available from the market. For practical, it's a separate issue. I think the institute study material is visible to you all on the screen. Someone asking about the types of opinion. You'll find it. Perhaps this is in page number 421. Types of opinion: unqualified, qualified, disclaimer, and adverse. Unqualified हमने क्या बताया आपको? Unqualified opinion एक auditor तब देगा. An auditor will issue an unqualified opinion when he has no doubts, no reservations about the audit which he has conducted. When he has received all information which he was seeking for, he hasn't been able to examine all the documents, he will issue a clean audit report that is called an unqualified opinion. देखो क्या लिखा है? An unqualified opinion expressed when the auditor concludes the financial statements give a true and fair view in accordance with the financial reporting framework used for preparation and presentation of the financial statements. An unqualified opinion indicates implicitly that any changes in the accounting principles or in the methods of their application and the effects thereof have been properly determined and disclosed in the financial statements. An unqualified opinion also indicates that the financial statements have been prepared using the gaps which have been consistently applied. That means they follow the generally accepted accounting principles, principle consistency, everything have been followed. Number two, the financial statements comply with the relevant statutory requirements and regulations. Whatever statutory regulations or requirements applicable to your company has followed that, and there is an adequate disclosure of all material matters relevant to the proper presentation of the financial information subject to statutory requirements wherever applicable. That means if the auditor is completely satisfied with all these aspects, he'll issue an unqualified opinion. इसको क्लीन रिपोर्ट ही बोला जाता है. इसका एग्जांपल आपकी बुक में दिया हुआ है, इंस्टीट्यूट की बुक में. नेक्स्ट, qualified opinion. What did I explain a bit ago? Qualified opinion in your study materials page on 422 and 423. Qualified opinion will be issued when the auditor is not satisfied. In what sense? That he may not have received all information. कैसे? और क्या लिखा है? A qualified opinion is expressed when the auditor concludes that an unqualified opinion cannot be expressed, but the effect of any disagreement with the management is not so material and pervasive as to require an adverse opinion. Adverse opinion नहीं दे रहा वो, right? Now the limitation scope is not so material and pervasive as to require a disclaimer of opinion. A qualified opinion should be expressed as being subject to or except for the effects of the matter to which the qualification relates. कैसे पता है? Unqualified opinion जो पहले था, just take a common example. It's a matrimonial case and आपके बारे में कोई मेरे से इंक्वायरी करता है. अगर मैं ये बोलता हूँ कि नहीं everything is okay, ये लड़का एकदम अच्छा है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, there is a unqualified opinion. Qualified opinion is जब मेरे को आपके कुछ एक एस्पेक्ट्स के बारे में नहीं पता है, ठीक है, कुछ एक एस्पेक्ट्स के बारे में नहीं पता तो सब्जेक्ट बोले इसको छोड़ के बाकी मुझे मालूम है क्या लड़का ठीक है, एंड दैट इज क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन. क्योंकि एक दो एस्पेक्ट के बारे में अगर मुझे नहीं पता उसकी आपकी सर्कल कैसी है या उसके अंदर कोई और गंदी आदत है या नहीं, ये मुझे नहीं मालूम. बाकी हाँ लड़का अच्छा है, अच्छा कमाता है, अच्छा वेल प्लेस्ड है, या लड़की अच्छी है, हाँ लड़की लोग भी बुरा मत मान जाना, ठीक है, दैट्स क्लियर, दैट इज क्वालिफाइड. Disclaimer opinion is expressed when the possible effect of a limitation on scope is so material and pervasive that the auditor has not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence and is therefore unable to express an opinion on the financial statements. Disclaimer notice होती है ना कई सारी जगह. Disclaimer तब दिया जाता है when I have not been able to gather sufficient information which I was asking for, which I was asking from the company. I have not got the information. I have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Suppose, as I was giving an example, that the company is having fixed deposits of 50 crores, and we're asking for the audit for the receipts. The receipts are lying somewhere else, and they have not been able to produce me the receipts. Adverse opinion, जब कोई हमसे पूछे और हम बता दें कि नहीं भाई वो लड़का तो अच्छा नहीं है, उसकी संगत खराब है. एडवर्स ओपिनियन ऑडिटिंग के केस की बात कर रहे हैं. कंपनी के ऑडिटर बहुत रेयरली इशू करते हैं एक्सट्रीम सिचुएशंस. एडवर्स ओपिनियन इज एक्सप्रेस्ड when the effect of a disagreement is so material, so significant statements. The auditor concludes that the qualification of the report is not adequate. सिर्फ qualification, disclaimer opinion, या सिर्फ qualification देने से नहीं चलेगा, गड़बड़ी कुछ ज्यादा ही है. So to make the shareholders aware, adverse opinion is required, negative opinion is required. I'll again repeat that statement. An adverse opinion expressed when the effect of a disagreement is so material and pervasive to the financial statements that the auditor concludes that the qualification of the report is not adequate to disclose the misleading or incomplete the nature of the financial statements. right? So what else? Thank you, Maniac. I don't know your name. Thanks. Some other queries coming up. Uh, I was asked to take your queries as well. So if you have any queries, people can discuss. Working papers. So I was asking, just wait, give me a second. I'll put it on the screen. Uh, Working papers, what in your study material provided by the Institute page 408. Audit working papers, the documents prepared or obtained by the auditors. I think the window is because it's a different version of Zoom. Rich Singh, your question, who bears the risk of stock on consignment? The risk of stock on consignment is borne by the consigner, because in consignment, the consigner is the owner of the stock. We'll come down working papers. So sir, audit working papers आपको पहले क्या बताए थे? क्या होता है कि auditor during his audit he collects, he gathers some information. As I said now, for conducting the audit of any company, you must know its memorandum of association, its articles of association. You collect them from the client. You know, we are talking permanent, temporary. So it is a permanent document. Normally, there is no changes in memorandum and articles. Normally, then the lease papers, the rental agreements, your company, the company of which you are doing the audit, it has entered into a lease agreement. Factory का जो land है वो rent पे लिया lease पे लिया for 99 years. So these lease documents should be taken by the auditor. Obviously not the original. He should get it photocopied done, but he should check the original ones. So working papers क्या होता है? We are discussing that. Audit working papers are the documents prepared or obtained by the auditors and retained by him in connection with audit. Audit working papers are used to support the audit work in order to provide assurance that the audit is performed in accordance with the relevant account auditing standards. Working papers include all the evidence gathered by the auditor indicating that work has been done by him and the procedure he has followed in verifying a particular asset or liability, and also provide information whether audit was planned properly, was carried out, all those stuff. Coming to after this point what is given, audit working papers are the connecting link between the client's records and the audited accounts. This provide permanent historical record. These also serve as a great guide to the staff to whom the work of audit has been assigned before, so after the previous year's audit. These would come to the help of audit in future in case a client files a suit against the auditor's negligence. अगर ऑडिटर के ऊपर क्लाइंट कंपनी केस करता है कि उसने ऑडिट ढंग से नहीं किया था, तो ऑडिट वर्किंग पेपर्स सबूत के तौर पे कोर्ट में काम आता है. इज टेकन एज एन एविडेंस इन कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ. इसीलिए क्या लिखा है? द working papers are the property of the auditor. Now, while reading the subject or any subject, these kind of points you should underline. You should highlight them using a highlighter pen. The working papers are property of the auditor. The client cannot ask the auditor for their custody. However, it is a duty of the auditor to maintain confidentiality of the client's information. We know auditing requires confidence. You have to retain information confidential, because while dealing with the client, you get to know a lot of sensitive information regarding the client's working. If for the audit working papers are disclosed, then it will amount to professional misconduct. You'll find the two documents, permanent file and current file. In permanent file, what do you maintain? As I told you, articles of association, obviously memorandum as well, loan agreements, documents related to understanding internal control, lease agreements, significant audit observations of earlier years, notes regarding significant accounting policies of the client. And the current file, in it we have information regarding the current year, financial statements and audit report, working trial balance worksheets, adjusting journal entries, audit program. You'll find audit program, audit plan, everything given earlier. Documentation, the consideration of internal control and consideration of fraud risks. Record of tests of internal control and substantive tests. Record of audit exceptions and their resolutions. Letter of attorneys, representation letters, confirmation responses. What are confirmation responses? You suppose auditor finds that in the balance sheet asset side of the client there is given debtors amounting to 500 crores. When you ask for the schedule of debtors, you find in the schedule of debtors there are many debtors. Now there is one Mr. A amounting to 50 crores. You may have a correspondence with Mr. A as an auditor. आप Mr. A के साथ communication कर सकते कि whether outstanding amount वही है या नहीं है. To check the reconciliation, to check confirmation. Yes, वही बोलता है हाँ 50 crores देना बाकी है मेरा. तो आपके client के asset में आएगा वो. Confirmation responses. These kind of documents are included in the current audit file. Someone was asking about the working papers, this audit file, explained it. Next question, please. Proprietary audit, Shruti. I think Shruti's answer. Shruti. Proprietary audit is what? Proprietary audit is an audit which is conducted to check the proprietariness of any transaction. Yes, Sumit, I'll take up change in method of depreciation surely. Proprietariness of any transaction means what? That you go to audit the accounts of company and you find that traveling expenses have been debited in the PL account amounting to say 70 lakhs. As an auditor, you should look into the vouchers, vouching. And not only in vouching, सिर्फ ये देखने से नहीं होता है कि 70 lakhs का documents है या नहीं. That is vouchers है या नहीं, bills है या नहीं. We'll have to check the proprietariness. What is proprietariness? Suppose we find that C, there are different grades of stuff, you know, A, B, C, D. Suppose a C grade employee or a D grade employee had gone, or a sales executive has gone on a visit on behalf of the company outside city to some other state or some other district, and they find that he had gone by business class, or he had gone by and he has stayed there in a 3-star hotel. Proprietary audit states that we should check the proprietariness of the transaction. मतलब अगर आपका proprietorship business होता, if you would have been a sole proprietor, would you have incurred that high expense? You'll have to look from that angle. If yes, then go ahead. If not, then the proprietary audit, if proprietary audit is being conducted, we'll have to give a negative remark that the expenses which have been incurred do not justify the test of proprietariness. क्योंकि अगर मेरा खुद का बिजनेस है, मुझे खुद को जाना है, I'll not go by the business class, I'll go by the economic class, or I'll not stay in a 5-star hotel, I may stay in a 2-star hotel or a 1-star hotel. If that is the case, if that situation warrants that much expenses should not have been incurred in proprietary audit, we have to check those things. I think that is clear, Suti. Jyotishri, there are no negative marks. As of now, the rest institute will guide you with this respect. There's no negative marks. I have been given the question regarding the explaining the change of method of charging depreciation, and Kumarappan is asking about computerized accounting environment. Yes, Ankita, you may also ask a question. Why not? Regarding change of method of charging depreciation, first thing, suppose your company has been charging, I'll just take a numerical example, you may keep your paper pen ready with you. A company had purchased a machinery few years back, suppose 3 years back, for rupees 1 lakh. And the company used to charge depreciation at 10% per annum under the straight line method. Now, 1 lakh is a valid asset, 10% depreciation under straight line method for 3 years. That comes to 30,000. So the current year, that is if the current year is the 4th year, the return on value of the asset is how much? 70,000. Right. In the current year, suppose the company wishes to change the method of charging depreciation to return on value method. And suppose 10%. So in current year, the depreciation would be 10% of 70,000, that is 7,000. Now, what kind of questions can come? First thing, in the exam, you may be given with straight away the return on value. ध्यान से सुनना. Suppose if I say that the return on value of an asset in the current year is, suppose, 2,10,000, and this 2,10,000 is after charging 10% depreciation under straight line method for 3 years. Then what was the original cost of the asset? Let me see how many of you can give the answer. My question is, the return on value of an asset at the beginning of 4th year, that is after charging depreciation for 3 years, under straight line method at 10% per annum, the return on value is 2,10,000. My question is, what was the original cost of the asset? Both answers are wrong. Albin and Reed saying, let others try. I'll again repeat. Yes, Pooja Bhautika, that's the right answer. 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs, not Khushi. Answer Pooja was correct. Very good going. Simple, yeah. How come 2,10,000 is representing 70%? Remember, under straight line method, what happens? We charge depreciation at the same percentage on the original cost every year. So if the original cost was 100, जिनको नहीं समझ में उनके लिए repeat कर रहा हूँ. If the original cost was 100, 10, 10, 10. Under straight line method, every year should be 10. 30 gone for 3 years. So the return on value is 70. So that 2,70,000, sorry, 2,10,000 is representing 70%. Then what is 100%? So 2,10,000 by 70 into 100. We get the original cost to be 3 lakhs. Another point. So in this way, questions may come from the change of method. And suppose यही एक return on value method होता, just take down one question. Click on the WDV. You can write it very short. The WDV of an asset is 72,900 after charging depreciation at 10% per annum under the return on value method for 3 years. What is the original cost of the asset? What is the original cost of the asset? Yes, Anurag, the answer was correct. 1 lakh. Now, in this case, how do we do? Actually, original cost is 100. First year depreciation is 10. For second year, the WDV is 90. Second year, the depreciation will be 9. Value remaining 81. Third year, depreciation will be 8.1. So that is 72.9. That is, the return on value जो दिया हुआ रहेगा, that is 72,900 in our example, is representing 72.9%. Then what is 100%? Now, suppose in change of method, in the same question, original cost nahi पूछ के, they would have asked what would be the depreciation for the current year under straight line method. Obviously 10,000, because in that case you need to calculate the original cost first and then 10% of the original cost. Would have been the answer. Next. Next question. Distinction between verification and vouching. Sir, verification is of assets and liabilities. Vouching is basically for expenses, maybe for receipts as well, expenses and incomes. And verifications for assets and liabilities. What does it mean? Avinash, verification may, what do? We verify the existence of an asset or a liability. क्या मतलब? Suppose your balance sheet, your client's balance sheet is showing machinery worth rupees 500 crores. Then fixed asset register hota hai. You check that, you find that there are 10 machines or 15 or 20 machines as per the fixed asset register. Now they are in the register, they are in the books of accounts. However, physically whether वो machines है या नहीं है, ये भी verify करना पड़ता है. Sir, आपको याद है, you remember if you have gone to some banks or some government offices, on the personal computer, on the desktops, on the fan, on the almiras, there's some code words are written. Suppose you go to a State Bank of India, you find in Almira SBI oblique, some other code oblique 10 oblique. These are numbering given to the fixed asset because these assets may be sold off, बिक सकता है, चोरी हो सकता है, पता ही नहीं चलेगा. Auditor will have to ensure that the assets which are being shown in the books do actually exist. Otherwise ऐसा होगा कि records में show किया हुआ asset physically exist करता ही नहीं है. That is an example which is given for the fixed deposits. So that is about verification. And vouching, suppose in the profit and loss account you find that there are traveling expenses or printing and stationery expenses. Now whether वो actual में expenses उतना लगा है कि नहीं, वो कैसे check करेंगे? With the help of vouchers. Every document will have to be, every expense will have to be supported with a voucher. So auditor will have to call for the vouchers. He will check whether the vouchers are correctly entered in the books of accounts or not. So that is called vouching. Check karna. Otherwise, again, there can be misappropriation of funds. Because in bigger companies, the printing and stationery, traveling expenses, electricity expenses, salary, wages, anything, this run into crores and crores of rupees. हो सकता है प्रिंटिंग एंड स्टेशनरी का एक्चुअल में खर्चा 1 करोड़ लगा हो, बट बुक्स में दिखा रहे हैं 5 करोड़, 4 करोड़ का फंड्स का पूरा गंडगोल. You have to check with the records. So that is vouching. So tax audit and a threshold limit regarding auditing, some of you asking, you'll have to go through. 1 second, no, just 1 second. Just wait 1 second. Regarding tax audit, the screen is visible to you all. Yes, it's visible. So tax audit, everything these are there book. In certain cases, tax audit is compulsory. This is based on the gross receipts. In the case of business, if you're carrying on, if you're having the income under the head PGBP, profits and gains of business profession, that is either you're carrying on a business or you're carrying on a profession. In case of business, if your gross receipts are exceeding 1 crore, and in case of you're a professional, if the gross receipts are exceeding 25 lakhs, then it is compulsory that your accounts should be audited by an auditor. Tax audit has to be done. This is specified. This is under as per section 44AB. This is as per section 44AB. Letter of attorney is simple. Power of attorney is that suppose I am your employee, आप बहुत बड़े आदमी हैं एंड आपके बिहाफ में मैं कुछ ट्रांजैक्शंस करता हूँ, I sign documents on your behalf. I enter into transactions on your behalf. So how do I do that? First of, because anyone may question me that आप कौन है? Because I'm acting on your behalf now. So I take a letter of attorney from you. That is, you issue a power of attorney to me with your signature. There's one letter of attorney. That's nothing else. Avinash, internal audit and internal check. So internal check, you'll find in the study material that it is a system, it is an accounting system which has been so designed that in the company, the work of one person is automatically checked by the work of another. Suppose सर आप किसी retail stores की बात करते हैं. If you go to a retail departmental store or like that, have you seen that there's only one person who will purchase, who will place an order for purchase, he will receive the goods, he will sell the goods. Even a small business, not sole proprietorship, normally ऐसा नहीं होता है. In order to ensure that misapplication of funds does not take place, frauds and errors do not creep up into the system, the organization is so developed that the work of one is checked by the work of another. That is entire process में बहुत से लोगों को डाल दिया जाता है कि in the case of an organization, suppose for purchase, first the storekeeper will have to send a requisition to the purchase manager. For example, just take an example that ये goods purchase करना है, goods का shortage हो रहा है. Purchase manager tenders invite करेगा maybe, या maybe direct order place करेगा supplier को. तो जब order place कर रहा है वो अपनी मर्जी से नहीं कर सकता है. There has to be a supporting evidence. क्या एक SRN स्टोर्स रिक्विजिशन नंबर मिला था स्टोर कीपर से, या सपोज कोई और डॉक्यूमेंट मिला था रिक्विजिशन की परचेज करना है, वो होना चाहिए सबूत के तौर पे. कल दिन कोई क्वेश्चन उठेगा वो बोलेगा देखिए मेरे पास से रिक्वेस्ट आया था, ये ऑर्डर प्लेस हो गया. अब इसमें भी कई ऑप्शन हो सकता है, डायरेक्ट ऑर्डर प्लेस करें, हो सकता है टेंडर का सिस्टम हो. एनीवेज, जब गुड्स आएगा तो रिसीविंग गुड्स का रिसीविंग जहां पे होगा डिपार्टमेंट में चेक किया जाएगा कि जितना इनवॉइस में गुड्स नोटेड है उतना ही एक्चुअल में आया है या नहीं आया है. एंड उसका ये रिपोर्ट अगेन ऑफिस में जाएगा अकाउंट सेक्शन में, दैट इनवॉइस में जितना गुड्स मेंशन्ड है उतना एक्चुअल में फिजिकली रिसीव हुआ या नहीं हुआ. नहीं तो अगेन वहां भी घपला हो सकता है. अकाउंट सेक्शन ऑर्डर के साथ इस इनवॉइस को कंपेयर करेगा. इफ इट इज ओके देन इट विल बी इशूड फॉर द cashier who will prepare the check. The check will be signed by some authorized signatories. Then the payment can be made. There are various checkpoints in between. Similarly, this is with respect to purchase. There are different internal checks with respect to sales, like that. An internal audit is an audit which is conducted all the year round by an internal auditor. Internal auditor is appointed by the management. किस लिए? ये चेक करने के लिए that whether the internal control measures are being properly applied or not. that काम सही तरीके से चल रहा है या नहीं चल रहा है. आई होप आप सबको पता है that statutory auditor तो साल के एंड में आता है, पूरा फाइनेंशियल खत्म हो गया उसके बाद में. तो तब तक तो जितना घपला होना है वो तो हो चुका होगा. घपला होते टाइम ही उसको पकड़ लिया जाए, उसके लिए होता है इंटरनल ऑडिट. इंटरनल ऑडिट इज कंडक्टेड टू एंश्योर दैट द एरर्स एंड फ्रॉड्स आर इमीडिएटली स्टॉप्ड, इमीडिएटली नॉलेज में आ जाए. So internal audit is conducted almost all the year round, or maybe at certain intervals. It's a process checking that where the work is going on properly. So that is the basically internal check, internal audit. You have in your study material. You can read it again. Next, queries coming up from anyone? Any queries coming up from anyone? And by the time everyone forfeiture and reissue cannot explain in this short time. I'm not sure how much time I'm having in hand. Appointment of auditor, first two paragraphs, and performance audit. Performance audit is basically to check the performance, that whether the performance meets the standards which have been set. Just wait 1 second. Someone asked me about the first two paragraphs. Of appointment of auditor. Regarding appointment of auditor, listen carefully about the first one. That the the first audit of the company is, in the case of joint stock company, the first auditor will be appointed by the board of directors within 30 days of the registration of the company. That is, within 30 days of receiving the certificate of incorporation. Company gets registered on getting the certificate of incorporation. So, within 30 days of receiving the certificate of incorporation, the board of directors will have to appoint the first auditor. Now, this first auditor will continue in office till the end of the first annual general meeting. In the first annual general meeting, basically क्या होता है that his appointment is ratified. His appointment is ratified by the shareholders for another period of 5 years. Normally, nowadays, it's mandated an auditor will be appointed for the period of 5 years. That is, he will remain in office for 5 years. So, and normally, auditor is appointed by the shareholders. But in the case of first auditor, he's appointed with the board of directors within 30 days of the incorporation. He will, his appointment will be reconfirmed, will be ratified by the share, reconfirmed, ratified on the reconfirm by the shareholders in the first AGM. And he will remain in office till the conclusion of the sixth AGM. Total 5 years हो गया. Sixth AGM के end होने तक office में रहेगा. Clear? And every AGM Jim?
All the best to all of you. Uh, the meeting is perhaps over. Wish you all have great lives and great careers ahead. Thanks for being there in all the classes. Thank you so much, everyone. See you as successful company secretaries on the line in a few years. Thank you so much. Thanks, ICSI. Thanks, Rajivji, for the entire cooperation in all these days. Thank you. Rajivji, we can put the meeting over. Thanks to ICSI on behalf of all the participants. The entire team ICSI has done great efforts in working from home. They've been working very hard to make this class successful.